Good morning. Welcome to the Youngstown-Warren Regional Chamber's 2025 annual meeting. It is so wonderful to see all of you here today. Thank you so much for coming out and enjoying this beautiful event center with us. I'm Madison Tromler, weekdays 6 p.m. news anchor and reporter for 21 WFMJ, and for today, I am your MC for this event. So thank you so much to the Regional Chamber for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and we're gonna get right into it. So lots of exciting stuff this morning. We will be presenting awards to 4 individuals, including 2 to men who have left an indelible mark on this community, as well as 1 to a woman who is working to expand through the organization she leads, training and employment opportunities to individuals in the region. We're going to present a 4th award to a Warren native whose expertise is economics. He'll also share some insights into how regions like the Valley can create a long-term resilient economy. And pretty exciting, part of today's program, we will also have a little bit of fun with the hosts of the Ohio Lottery's Cash Explosion television show. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna give some lucky folks a chance to win some Cash Explosion swag. First though, I would like to note with everyone the significance of this meeting. This is a time for the Regional Chamber's board and staff to gather to celebrate and salute the organization, its nearly 3,000 members, as well as the Valley. It's also very important to note the Chamber's long-term partnerships with the sponsors of this event. These relationships cannot be understated. We are so grateful for their continued support of our work to make the Valley the preferred place to live, learn, work, and play. I'm very happy to first call on our platinum sponsor, Farmers National Bank, a longtime supporter of our annual meeting, big believer in the Valley, and a chamber member for an impressive 51 years. Please welcome Mark Wennick, Chief Wealth Management Officer for Farmers Bank Group and Treasurer of the Regional Chamber's Board of Directors, for remarks.
Good job so far. Wow. Good morning, and thank you, Madison. It's great to see everyone this morning, and I guess it's becoming old hat to say we have such a large crowd for a chamber event. It seems, month after month or event after event, we see these record crowds. But let me start by thanking our regional chamber for their continued efforts on behalf of the businesses and communities in our valley, and what a year it's been for the chamber, which I'm sure Guy and his team will be highlighting throughout the morning. An annual meeting, we actually have ours at Farmers next week, is a great opportunity to celebrate the successes of the past year while looking forward to the year ahead. As Madison mentioned, I'm fortunate to have started back on the chamber board as treasurer at the beginning of the year, and wanted to take this time to highlight 2 items. The first item is to highlight the establishment of our own economic development region under Jobs Ohio with the formation of Lake to River. This endeavor, now almost 1 year old, and although I wasn't directly involved, I do know it was not for the faint of heart, and without the leadership of a few organizations, including the Chamber, and many individuals, including Guy and his team, we would not be in the enviable position that we find ourselves today. We are now more than ever able to speak for this region with one voice when it comes to economic development and growth opportunities. The fruits of LTR will be felt for many years to come. The second item to highlight is more of an observation. I had the opportunity and pleasure to attend the Columbus Drive-In last week. And since this is not a capital budget year, we were not advocating as much for specific projects, but we were there representing our region and having the opportunity to listen to and ask questions of state leaders. Now listen to this. Our lineup of leaders that day included the CEO of Jobs Ohio, the Senate President, the Leader of the House, the Director of Development and Secretary of State. And although I was unable to attend the night before, we had We hosted Lieutenant Governor Jim Tressel, also had President Bill Johnson from YSU, and other legislators that had ties to YSU at a reception the night before, including some of our own delegation. I mean, pretty impressive. And again, I think this was our 9th year. We were trying to decide whether our 8th or 9th year with the drive-in, but we've come a long way since that first drive-in. And I can tell you without reservation, just observing, that this region has the respect of every one of those individuals and strong advocacy from our local group of legislators. It made me very proud, to be honest, but also mindful again of the work of many organizations and individuals that have gotten us to that point. Also, it's a real pleasure to be here representing Farmers National Bank and our CEO, Kevin Helmick. As a member of this business community in the Chamber, we appreciate the opportunity to sponsor the Chamber's annual meeting. This is really one of our more meaningful events. As Madison read down through, we do the presenting of the Spirit of the Valley, Spirit of the Chamber Award. We actually have 2 Champion Award recipients. So again, congratulations to all the recipients, and we look forward to hearing more about you and listening to your comments later this morning. It's kind of neat, though, to be standing here in front of you this morning, since it was at the Chamber. Good evening, Kim. It was the fall of 2023 that I talked about the recently announced plans to expand our headquarters in Canfield. Then at last year's annual meeting, I actually talked about a groundbreaking. And then at that same Good Evening event last fall, I gave you a progress report. I'm pleased to deliver my final headquarters update this morning. We are all moved in and applying finishing touches to the inside of the building. And if you've been by recently, we started our landscaping and plan an official ribbon cutting for early May. What a wonderful journey, although I don't think Mike Matuzak, our COO, would say that. But we could not be more proud of the final product and what it represents in terms of our continued commitment to the Valley and the region. I would be remiss if I didn't express gratitude to our general contractor, Joe DeSalvo, and architect Greg Strollo, along with many local subcontractors. A job well done. Thank you, guys. We recognize that the growth which necessitated the expansion of our headquarters would not have occurred without this community, which includes many customers and supporters and friends in this room, and the hard work and dedication of our associates. We are fiercely local, fiercely loyal, and our growth and financial success ensures that we will continue to be a solid, independent corporate and community partner for this foreseeable future. And as such, we plan to do our part to support the housing and workforce development initiatives being spearheaded by the Chamber. In closing, again, we appreciate being a sponsor this morning. We thank the Chamber for organizing this event, and of course, because of your participation, the Chamber can have events like this. So we thank you all for making the time and effort to coming out this morning. Enjoy the rest of your morning. Thank you.
Mark, thank you so much for those lovely remarks. Let's give him another round of applause. We're very appreciative to Mark and to Farmers National Bank for your unwavering support of the Chamber, its mission and initiatives, and for events like this one here today. Now, in addition to Farmers National Bank, we would also like to recognize and thank all of the sponsors of today's event. Welcome, each one of you, and thank you so much for your support of our annual meeting. Keynote sponsor, Lake to River Economic Development, a network region of Jobs Ohio, and award presentation sponsor, Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, both of which we will hear from in just a little bit. Decor sponsor, Kensington Golf Club. Silver sponsors, Boak & Sons Inc. and Packer Thomas. Beverage sponsor, Dawn Incorporated. Bronze sponsors, Krugliak, Wilkins, Griffiths, and Doherty, Mercer County Community Federal Credit Union, and Platts Realty Group. Broadcast sponsor, Armstrong. Foundation VIP dinner sponsors, HBK CPAs and Consultants, and Hometown Products. And the sponsors of our Chamber Foundation VIP reception, Number 1 Cochrane, Akron Children's Hospital, Mahoning Valley, Discover Global, Dougherty Companies LLC, HSH Drywall LLC, Joe Koch Construction Inc., and Valoric Star. Let's please give all of our sponsors a round of applause. Now, I would also like to recognize the Regional Chamber's Board of Directors and members of the councils of the board. It's their support, guidance, vision, and willingness to help throughout the year that enables the Chamber's work on transformative initiatives that promote the growth of its members, as well as a vibrant local economy. Thank you. Would all of the board and council members in attendance this morning stand up for a much-deserved round of applause? I would also like to recognize Jim Gazier, who joined the Regional Chamber team in January as Chamber Foundation President for his service as Board Chairman, which ended in December, and his successor as Board Chairman, longtime board member, Attorney Blair. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, now before Cash Explosion co-hosts David McCreary and Alyssa Henry join the program, I do want to draw your attention to the Chamber's 2024 annual report and the upcoming events card that's right on your table. So please, if you can, take a moment, look at this report. It recounts the Chamber's meaningful work in 2024, as well as the card for details about future events. Now, let's welcome David McCreary and Alyssa Henry.
Well, good morning, everyone. Oh, that was really like, it is early. Good morning, everyone. Are you guys enjoying all this delicious breakfast? I got those little egg things. Those are amazing, right? And the cheese wrapped with whatever that was. So good. Delicious.
Yeah, we are excited to be here. We're going to play a game here in a minute. We're going to get some mics here. We're going to bring some people up right here. Real quick, you have tickets on your table. Everybody should have a ticket. Some of them are in the middle of the table. Some of them are at your seat. If you still have on the end the little rip-off part, let us know, because we want to drop it into a little bowl up here so we can play this game. I'm going to grab the bowl.
Okay.
And you can tell them what we're doing on June 14th.
While David is doing that, so as Madison said, I'm Elisa, this is David. We host Cash Explosion, which is statewide lottery show airing all over the state, parts of Kentucky, parts of West Virginia. And then on June 14th, we are taking the show on the road, coming to the Cavelli Center in Youngstown. We are super excited. What that means is we are inviting all of you and all of Ohio to come join us in person at the Cavelli Center. What's going to happen there? We have contestants who we are going to pick in advance, but we also have some contestants we're going to pick live at the show. And the big winner is going to win $250,000. So it is going to be a huge event. Yes, and you guys are all eligible. If you play, buy the tickets, scratch them off, put them in our drawing, you could also be a big winner at that event.
Yeah. So we are going to start the game. We're going to walk right down here and grab 4 names to play first, play this cash challenge game that we play. So Lisa, come on down here.
Okay.
We've got the bowl right here. Normally, when we play this game in the show, it's somebody playing for $50,000, which could lead, and that's life-changing money for some, but sometimes the most we've given away over the period of a few weeks was $525,000. It's life-changing money. So today, if you win, you won't win life-changing money, but you will win life-changing swag. It's sharp. You guys are going to look good. I don't even know what it is. We'll find out, though. I'm as excited as you are to find out what it is. You ready?
We'll draw the first number, so get your tickets out.
You want me to hold that so you can draw it? All right, here we go.
All right, mixing it up, digging in, here we go. 5401. 5401, if that's you, come on down.
It's that life-changing swag. You hear them cheering? I can hear them cheering from over there. He's like, I'm going to get a koozie. Come on up, sir.
Next one. 5383. 5383.
There we go.
Here we go. Awesome. All right, we're drawing 4 numbers at first, and then we'll
Yeah, and then we're going to play another game after this one.
5399. 5399. No one?
Do we have
That
anybody?
one?
539. Oh, there we are.
Here's
It's all on
Sam.
that side of the room.
5543. 5543. Someone from this side.
There
of the
we go,
room.
finally.
Awesome.
All right, so come on up. We'll get your names. Yeah, come on, all the way up, yeah. And then we'll just line up from the first person called here to the fourth person called here, just in a row. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. Stand right here, and then you'll just stand in a line down through there.
Yep.
So here's what's going to do. We'll pull the screen up, hopefully. There it is. All right, we're going to drop your names in. So introduce yourself to everyone. What is your name?
Good morning. I'm Dan Segul from First National Bank.
Dan? All right. And Zach, tell me your name.
Hi, I'm Zach.
With an H. With an H, JC. Z-A-C-H.
Hi, Carrie Cebulski, First National Bank.
And Carrie, C-A-R-R-I-E.
And what's your name?
Guy Coviello from the Regional Chamber. Jim Standohar from Serve Pro.
Jim.
Elisa's looking at me like, I don't know why people are laughing at us.
You guys all got the joke, and that's what's important.
All right, so here's what's going to happen. We'll go down the line. Everybody will pick a number. The first person to see their name up there 3 times wins the, again, life-changing swag.
Yeah.
Barry, can you show us? Can you give us? There's Barry, executive producer of the Ohio Lottery's Cash Explosion, our boss, probably one of the best-looking guys in the room. My favorite people. Like I said, he's my boss. So this is a jacket. That's a jacket. Can we talk about this jacket for a second, Elisa?
Yes, it's a very nice jacket.
It's a very nice jacket. You and I do not have one yet.
No, we don't.
host the show, and they haven't given us one. It's a nice
And
jacket.
Now we are publicly shaming JC, who is also one of our bosses with Cash Explosion. All right, so as David said, what we're going to do is each person's going to pick a number. Whoever's name is revealed 3 times is our winner.
All right, Dan, here we go. Where do you think your name's hidden?
All I heard earlier was you said life-changing money.
Yeah, you should have kept listening.
Okay. All right. We'll do number 12.
Number 12. All right, who starts off on our board behind the 12? Zach. All right, Zach. There you go. You're on your way to a jacket.
Well, we're going to go with my lucky number 4.
Lucky number 4. Who's behind the 4? And this is why we don't let JC run the game on the show. It's taken a while. JC, I don't think JC can fire me. Barry can. If Barry was running it, it'd be working great. I promise you. Because he's, all right, who's
All right,
behind?
David, time to wrap it up. Okay, what number would you like?
Let's go 7.
7. Who's behind 7? Zach.
Wow. That was quick.
was a
Poor
quick
Jim
game.
down there. Jim's like, what? This is the dumbest game ever. I didn't even do it. I just stood up here and people laughed at me when I talked. All right.
It was up there.
Jim, what number would you have picked? You were going to pick 2? Which would have been your name.
That would have been your name.
Which may get you a koozie. I'm not sure what we have with us.
Everyone on our show is a winner. That's the great thing about being on Cash Explosion. Everyone wins. You win different things, different amounts.
Look at this, bringing prize packages right now.
You all get a prize package. Thanks for playing.
Round of applause for our first 4 contestants. Thanks for being here, guys.
So everyone wins. All right, we're going to draw 4 more numbers. So let's get started drawing the next numbers. Here we go.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, 5409.
You guys go back to your seat or follow Barry for your, he's got prizes for you over there.
5409.
5409.
Now they're like, I don't want to play. Come on.
We got it over here.
5007. 5007.
Right up front. All right. Oh, no, over here. Well, he's just getting coffee. Terrible time to get up and get coffee, sir. We're trying to find our winners. I thought you won.
5381. 5381.
Oh, are you one of our winners?
Yes.
All right, come on up.
We have every. All right, another one. 5244. 5244. Awesome.
Right up front. Oh, yeah, we do have all
Go,
four.
got everybody.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, so let's go from the first person called next to me. So first person called next to me, second, third, and fourth. All right, and let's hear your names.
Jen Piangio.
Jen, all right. 2 ends.
Well, let's make sure.
Yeah, is JC, are you ready? I don't even see JC back there.
He's back there.
There he is. Hey, JC. Everybody say hey to JC. He's back there working hard. And what is your name?
Ron Cast.
Ron. 2 ends. 1 end. 2 ends, 1 end.
And what's your name?
Guy Coviello.
Now I can read your
Now I get the
tag.
joke.
Now I know it's a joke.
Mark.
Mark. And then Nancy Kazanko. Nancy. All right, we got our 4 players.
All right. So, like I said, normally people are playing for $50,000. I was going to ask this question if normally they play for $50,000. Not today. I don't think you were listening either earlier. You're going to be really disappointed. So here's what's going to happen. Instead of just running through, because the first time we got through pretty quickly. So let me ask now, if you won $50,000 on the show, what would you spend that money on? If you had to spend it that day, what would you spend $50,000 on, Jen?
Oh, vacation.
Vacation to where?
Hawaii.
Hawaii? Okay. That was quick. You answered that quick. Long vacation of $50,000.
Couple.
All right, Jen, where do you think your name's hidden?
I'm going to go with 3.
Number 3, who starts off on the board? Nancy. All right, Ron, what would you do with $50,000?
Vacation as well.
Where to?
Hawaii.
Why? You guys know each other? Or is it just getting weird? Okay. All right. You may want to be there a different date. Ron, what number would you like?
7.
Number 7. Who's on the board behind the 7? Jen.
Mark, if you won $50,000 today, what are you going to do with it?
I buy a new 3D sand printer. I buy one for Barb Ewing.
What number would you like?
11.
11. Who's behind 11? Nancy again.
Oh, Nancy.
All right. If you find your name, you're going to win a prize pack along with everyone else. But what would you do if you won $50,000 today?
I'd do vacation as well.
Where are you going?
The Maldives.
Maldives, nice. All right, what number would you like?
4.
4. Do we have a winner behind 4? Who's there? Mark, the game keeps going.
All right, Jen, we'll come back to you for another number.
I'm going to go with 2.
Number 2. Who's behind the 2? Jen, she found her name. All right, Ron, your name is up there, I promise you.
No, 5.
Number 5. Has Ron found his name, or do we have Nancy winning or Jen winning? Let's find out who's behind the 5. Ron, he's got his name up there.
Looking for your name again?
Going 12.
12. Who's behind 12? Ron.
Wow.
Come from behind. All right, Nancy, another opportunity to find your name and win.
I'm going to do 8.
8. Do we have a winner behind 8? Who's there? Mark. Everybody on the board.
Yeah, you would be shocked at how many times this happens on the show. All right, Jen, you are going to pick our winner. It's totally up to you. Whatever number you pick is our winner.
Pressure.
Nervous?
Yes. 10.
Number 10. All right, whoever's behind the 10 wins the bragging rights of winning today in front of everybody. Who's behind the 10? Mark! Mark is our big winner. Congratulations. Barry, head right over there, and Barry will take care of you. He's got stuff for you guys. Round of applause for all 4 contestants.
So one more time, I want to invite you guys all out to the Cavelli Center That's coming up June 13th.
June 14th.
June 14th. I'll be here June 13th and 14th. But our big show, that's happening there. We're super excited. Want to say hello to our Ohio Lottery Commission Chair, Matthew Blair. Thanks for being here with us today and having us here today. And Danielle Babby Frizz is here. Over there, our communications director for Ohio Lottery. So, yeah, we're excited to be here.
Thanks for having us, guys. We'll see y'all.
What a blast. Thank you so much, David and Alyssa. Who knows, maybe that cash explosion swag will be worth some money someday. So we'll have to see about that. Thank you both for bringing the energy this morning. Very exciting. And again, as they mentioned, we are looking forward to the Cash Explosion live show. That's June 14th at the Covelli Center. Now on to our award presentations. Please welcome Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Anthem has been a member of the Chamber for nearly 55 years and a sponsor of the annual meeting for more than 2 decades. We value their partnership and dedication to the Valley and our programs. I would like to introduce Nancy Kazenko, Account Executive at Anthem, for remarks and the presentation of the Spirit of the Valley and the Spirit of the Chamber Awards.
Good morning again. It's so great to see so many of you here. What a fabulous event. I'm Nancy Kazenko with Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and we're pleased to be one of the award sponsors for the Regional Chamber's annual meeting again this year. We have deep local roots in the state and are committed to investing in our communities, developing partnerships with Ohio companies and organizations so we can improve the health of all Ohioans. One of the best things we have found about doing business in Northeast Ohio is the truly collaborative nature of the region's business leaders. We find ways to come together to solve problems and affect positive change. And that's why Anthem is pleased to be a longtime partner and supporter of the Chamber, so we can continue to honor excellence among our business community and work together to make Ohio a great place to live, work, and play. Today's honorees represent the very best of our community, and I'm pleased to introduce 2 of them to you today. It is my privilege to present the Spirit of the Valley and Spirit of the Chamber Awards to 2 worthy individuals this morning. The first, Spirit of the Valley, is presented to a person who has exhibited outstanding leadership and commitment to the community and overall progress of the Valley. This year, we're thrilled to present this award to someone whose voice was as much of our morning routine as that first cup of coffee. Dan Rivers, retired host of the Dan Rivers Show on News Radio 570 WKBN. Dan spent more than 40 years at the station, including more than 20 of them filling the 9 a.m. to noon slot, fielding calls from listeners and giving commentary on some of the most important issues facing the Valley, state, nation, and world, from the September 11th terrorist attacks to the pandemic to the seismic political shift in our Valley. He chased his dream of working in broadcasting after 2 tours in Vietnam as a U.S. Naval Seabee, building bridges and houses, and joined WKBN after graduating from Youngstown State University in 1981. This year, for some of our award recipients, we decided to do something new, video remarks from them, as well as their contemporaries. Please direct your attention to the monitors for more about Dan Rivers and remarks from Phyllis Gaskeb, Market President, Youngstown and Akron for iHeartMedia.
Dan Rivers is the name. I grew up in Northwest Ohio, always wanted to be in radio. Did 2 years in the U.S. Navy Seabees. After being honorably discharged from the Seabees and back from Vietnam twice, went to a small broadcasting school, got my first job after 2 or 3 months, and went from Marysville to Delaware to Coshocton to Toledo to Detroit to Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, and finally Youngstown, Ohio. Worked for WFMJ and then went over to WKBN, and I've been at WKBN since 1980, so I think 45 years. Never really thought that I had the ability to be a talk show host because I was always the program manager of an icon named Dan Ryan, who came before myself. As I started doing the programming after he had passed on, I realized what I didn't know, and it wasn't as easy as he made it look. And I would say it took me 10 years really to get my feelings for the radio program, and I'm always trying to figure out a better way to do it. In fact, even in my semi-retirement, I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do spoken word radio. You know, I've interviewed so many great people, Steve Forbes, President Trump, Mike DeWine endlessly, and being able to interview Donald Trump twice is a pleasure. I really feel that we have made a difference, especially the political leaders who call me and say, I was able to get my message out. One thing that I'm kind of proud of is that I didn't really know Mike Rooley very well, except to shop at his store. And I said, you know what, you should report back to the people every week. And we turned it into what we called the Baloney Report. So every Friday at 10 o'clock, he would come on my program and he would talk.
Dan's impact on the community has been immense. Not only is he an extraordinary talent, he's very authentic and just beloved by all who listen to him and everyone who he communicates with. He's part of the fabric of our community, and we're really lucky to have him here.
I've been a good friend of the Chamber. I've helped them gain membership over the years, hopefully, by my own personal solicitation. And I think maybe they're saying thank you, and I do really appreciate it because I think that they're a very important part of the Mahoning Valley. Thank you, Chamber, for doing this because, I feel like I get enough accolades just being on the radio. I don't need more, but you know what? It's nice to be recognized.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's congratulate our 2025 Spirit of the Valley Award recipient, Mr. Dan Rivers.
Well, as I said, it's nice to be recognized, and we get a lot of recognition on the radio as it is. My wife would often ask me, are you tired of being in the fray each day? When you are in the fray, you don't realize how much work it is to put together a listenable radio program daily. 3 hours made out of whole cloth, and to tell you the truth, I could not have done it without my wife, Cheryl Sturby, who was my partner each night as we prepared the show. She's here today, and I always admired the Chamber, especially my neighbor and longtime friend, Tom Humphreys, and now Guy Coviello. Good people. The work you do here is really important in the Valley, third largest chamber in the state of Ohio. Special thanks to the merchants who trust me to endorse their products over the years and still allow me to do so in my retirement. Thanks to my colleagues who are here today, my good friend and partner Cindy Filatico sitting next to me, Sonny Fox, Ron Robinstraw, Brad Marshall, and not to mention the woman who makes it all go, Phyllis Gaskeb, who came in from Pittsburgh and took on a huge job. Phyllis is our market president, and coming over from Lima, Ohio today, Matt Bell, our Ohio president, and our regional president from Columbus. we also have with us Dan Lankford, and from our Akron office, Craig Madden. Thank you all for joining me here today. I truly enjoyed the show, doing it each day, and I still fill in. I'll see you this afternoon after the Guardians. Thanks to my predecessor, Dan Ryan, who pioneered the art form in our market. And thank you for the great honor you have given me here this morning and the gift of your time of listening to the program over the years. Thank you, Chamber, and thank all of you for coming today.
Yeah, congratulations. Thank you, Dan, for all you've done to help shape the conscientiousness of this valley. Although you are no longer behind the microphone, please don't let your voice go silent. Can we get another round of applause for Dan Rivers? Our next award, the Spirit of the Chamber, is given for exceptional dedication, commitment, and accomplishments on behalf of the Youngstown-Warren Regional Chamber. Shelley Murray, who earned a doctorate degree from Bakke Graduate University in Dallas, Texas, and a master's degree in public administration, nonprofit management from South University in Savannah, Georgia, became CEO of Youngstown Area Goodwill Industries in October 2023 after a long, successful career in education, including principal, vice president, and head of schools at Valley Christian Schools. At first, her role at Goodwill was to be temporary, but as fate would have it, she was asked to remain permanently and accepted without hesitation. Murray's passion and dedication for helping others led her and her team at Goodwill to partner with the Chamber last year to study workforce needs in the region as part of a joint initiative to grow the workforce by helping residents overcome barriers to employment. Now, she, her team, and the Chamber and other stakeholders are working on initiatives to create sustainable change and get more people working. Take another look at the monitors for remarks from Shelley and Guy Caviello, President and CEO of the Regional Chamber.
I'm Shelley Murray. I'm the Executive Officer of Youngstown Area Goodwill Industries. We have 10 store locations across 5 counties. We also offer services. So we're actually a social enterprise where a lot of people know us for our stores. We like to say that we are more than a store. You drop off any donated items, we put those out on the sales floor, and that creates jobs within our stores. Someone's collecting those items, someone's sorting those items, pricing them, putting them out, and of course you have all of the retail employees within the stores. And that money that's generated then goes back into workforce development, where we provide anything from interview, resume prep. We help with skill assessment. We help give people resources, guide them to programs or other nonprofits in our community, service providers who can help them to gain the skills that they need to find the position that they're looking for. When I started here, I was given the directive to get the mission of Goodwill out and really work within the community. So I started taking a look at what other organizations were doing and came across how the Regional Chamber is working to really help empower marginalized individuals and recreate a workforce and to bring new populations to our community. And that resonated with me because everything about Goodwill is based on working with those in underserved, marginalized communities, giving a voice to those who don't have a voice. So I immediately called up the chamber, reached out, and the rest just kind of fell into place.
We partnered up with Goodwill and did a community needs assessment of the workforce here. What the assessment showed us is that we have a labor participation rate of 57% compared to 63% across the state and across the nation. That 6% gap represents about 20,000 people. We feel most of those people are capable of working, want to work, and just have a barrier to employment. Shelley's been an outstanding partner for the Chamber. We have thousands of companies in our community that need workers, and Shelley and Goodwill have stepped up to help us find ways to get marginalized individuals off the sidelines and into the workforce and solve the #1 issue that we face in terms of growing the economy.
What we hope to come out of this relationship with the Chamber post-community needs assessment is a stronger community with a well-equipped, stronger, ready-to-go workforce.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me congratulate our 2025 Spirit of the Chamber Award recipient, Mrs. Shelley Murray.
Good morning. It's an honor to even have been considered for this award, let alone receive it on behalf of our partnership with Goodwill and the Regional Chamber. It was about a year ago now that we met to discuss a community needs assessment, and we knew when we started we had to go beyond assessing the needs of the community and move right into action. There's a number of people who need this initiative, from the businesses struggling to fill open positions, to individuals who want a better life but aren't quite sure how to access it, or even dare to hope that it exists for them. I've lived in the Valley my entire life, and by the way, my bachelor's degree is from YSU. I wanted to make sure that was, because I'm very proud of that. And I truly believe that we're at the intersection of something really amazing as a community. I've had the privilege of getting to know many of you over the past year through this initiative, sitting with you, talking about what you see as the challenges and what you see as the solutions. So thank you for your time and continued support of this, because I believe that the spirit of collaboration has never been stronger in our community. On a personal note, thank you to my husband, Sean, who's never wavered from supporting me, even when I said it was time to start a new journey in my career. And through much prayer, that led me to Goodwill. And I am so thankful that it did. I get to work alongside some pretty amazing people each and every day, and a board that is relentless with the mission of Goodwill, that we will not be satisfied until we provide access and opportunities to our most vulnerable populations in our communities. And I would be remiss if I didn't have them stand, please. Come on, team, stand, board, stand. Because I'm sure that many of you know nothing happens in a vacuum or by yourself. It always takes a lot of people around you to make projects and initiatives successful. So thank you to the Chamber for your strong partnership, and we're looking forward to this initiative for many years to come. Thank you.
Wow, what incredible work Shelley Murray and her team at Youngstown Area Goodwill Industries are doing to expand employment opportunities and training for people in the region. Kudos. Would you please give another round of applause to Shelley and everyone there at Goodwill? I'd like to thank the Chamber again for allowing Anthem to be one of the award presenters this year. Again, we value our partnership, and thank you everyone for coming and celebrating our award recipients today. Madison?
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Nancy, and thank you, Dan and Shelley, for all that you have done and continue to do for the Valley. Let's give one more round of applause for all of them. So much inspiring words, and we are so appreciative. Next, I would like to introduce Jim DeCenzo, CPA and Principal at HBK CPAs and Consultants, to welcome and present the first Valley Champion Award to Wally King, military hero and co-founder of Hill, Barth, and King LLC.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome. I thank everybody for being here. Special message to my partners and all the other CPAs in attendance. As a board member of the Chamber, I vow that next year we're going to move this back a week. I've had so many people ask me last night and today, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? But seriously, it's a great honor to be standing here today to introduce Wally King. Wally is the K in Hill, Barth, and King, the firm that I've been fortunate enough to spend 37 years of my career with. Without Wally and his peers, and he wanted that to be known, that it wasn't just him, it was a lot of people that got us to where we are today. Without them, we wouldn't be here. Wally's going to turn 102 years old in October, and he exemplifies the generation of Americans who persevered through the Great Depression, fought in World War II, then came home and helped build the country post-war. Wally's interest in flying as a young boy in Cortland, Ohio, led him to enlist in the U.S. Army Air Corps in 1942. He was called to active service in 1943, just a year afterwards. Many of you may have heard the story, but I'm going to tell it again. Wally flew 74 successful missions in the European theater, and on his 75th and final mission was shot down and captured. Near the end of the war, spent the rest of the war in captivity, came back in July of 1945 and re-enrolled at what was then Youngstown College and taken accounting classes. He was also working at the Erie Railroad while he was taking classes. And as he told me, he found out about a program that was offered to veterans that sort of an on-the-job training. And he heard about a CPA in downtown Youngstown named Roland Hill, who, ironically, as Wally told me a few months ago, Roland was located on the 13th floor of the Realty Building, which we've all heard about for the last year, unfortunately. But Wally started on-the-job training with him and continued his education. And a few years later, as Roland, the H in Hill, Barth, and King, as he was ready to retire, Roland introduced Wally to another CPA named Bill Barth, the B in HBK, and they formed Hill, Barth, and King. We are now in our 75th year. I've been fortunate to have spent half of those 75 years with HBK, and I can tell you, I heard it from the partners before me, and I saw it. Wally and his generation of partners helped build HBK into what it is today. We are now one of the top 50 accounting firms in the country, starting in Youngstown, Ohio, and spreading over the East Coast. We are a more than just an accounting firm, a financial services firm. We couldn't have gotten to where we are today without the foresight of Wally and as he likes to say, all the other partners that were with him. So we're celebrating our 75th anniversary this year, and it's an honor to recognize Wally. He retired in 1983 from the firm, but he's always been a presence within the firm and at the office, and he's a legend. So with that, I want to turn our attentions to the screen and watch a video of Wally. Thank you.
I'm Wallace King, I was born in Cortland, Ohio, in Halloween of 1923. I grew up in a poor family. It was Depression in the 30s. And for some reason, I was always fascinated with airplanes and flying. I made model airplanes. I made pictures of model airplanes. I made paper airplanes and flew them across the classrooms and so forth. And I'd always wanted to fly. So when I graduated in May of 1941, we were not in the war. Pearl Harbor didn't occur until December after I'd finished school. And a good buddy of mine that had got a year ahead of me had enlisted in the Army Air Corps. So I set my goal that I was going to have to serve in the Army, in the military. So this was my opportunity to learn how to fly. I was sworn into the Army sometime after the middle of 1942. I flew 75 missions, and my 75th mission, I got hit by flak. The plane was on fire, burning, and I had half an engine running, but I could see the Elbe River in the distance. And I thought, well, if I can nurse this thing along by throttling back, the fire wasn't coming over the canopy. And so I'm chugging along, but keeping this airplane as slow as it can fly. And I happened to look down between my rotor pedals, and the 3/4-inch armor plate in front of the cockpit was melting. It was just like someone had an acetylene torch. It was just cutting it. And I said, time to go, and out I went. And of course, a long story after that, but that was the end of my flying. When I came back from World War II, went to work for the Erie Railroad as a billing clerk, and went to school at nighttime at Youngstown College. One of the fellows in one of my accounting classes at Youngstown said, I'm going to start a on-the-job training program with Roland Hill, a local CPA in Youngstown. He said, why don't you, I think he'd probably be interested in having you come talk to him. So I did. It was at Christmas week in must have been about 1946. Yeah, it was 1946. And talked with him, and so it ended up, I started in January 1947 working for Roland D. Hill. Well, meanwhile, in 3 years, I kept going to Youngstown at night, and I took the CPA exam, and the firm was growing, and Roland Hill wanted to go reporter. He was about mid-50s at the time, I think, maybe later than that. And he wanted to move to Florida. So we said, well, why don't you go to Florida? We'll buy you out. So that was the beginning of HBK. And I remember Roland Hill says, well, the firm's name is going to be Hill, King, and Barth, or Hill, Barth, and King. It's up to you guys to fight it out. so I think we flipped a coin or something, and it became Hill, Barth, and King, which phonetically is better anyway. So that's how the name Hill, Barth, and King began. And that kept going until I retired in 1983 at the age of 60, which was a provision we'd made in our partnership agreement that you had to get out at 60. I think that probably was one of the watershed decisions, because what it did, it provided growth, the opportunity to recruit young, brighter people and attract them to becoming a partner in HBK. So I know my name is in the firm, but I keep telling them it wasn't only me. I had a lot of help by a lot of very, very intelligent and hardworking young people.
What an amazing story, and when you think of the hundreds of thousands of stories like that could be told, and the thousands and thousands that could never be told, what I can't say enough. So I'd just like to take the time now, and if you would all join me in congratulating Wally King as I present to him Valley Champion Award.
Thank you so much, Jim, for your kind words. What a wonderful speech. And Wally, you truly are a shining example of the greatest generation. Thank you for your heroic military service, your dedicated and caring service to HBK and its clients, and for being a flag bearer of the Mahoning Valley. Can we please give another round of applause to our 3 award recipients just one more time? It's now my pleasure to welcome Mike McGiffin, Vice President of Engagement and Investor Relations with Lake to River Economic Development, for remarks and to introduce our keynote speaker and second Valley Champion Award recipient, Warren native Gary Wagner, Professor of Economics at the University of Louisiana, Lafayette.
A few thank yous before we start, maybe a couple congratulations as well. But let's start first with thanking the Chamber for putting this order together and making us follow Mr. King. What a place to be. Mr. King, truly an honor to be in the presence of you today. Gary and I at dinner spoke briefly, and we thought, how tremendous it would be to be able to follow your act. And so leadership is a big thing to us in this community, and we treasure your leadership both nationally and locally. Congratulations, Mr. King, very well deserved. Dan and Shelley, stewards of the local economy, stewards of all things good. Congratulations to the two of you. Dan, congratulations on retirement. A few folks I'd like to recognize here. We have some board members of Lake to River in attendance. Our board chair, Mr. Chuck George, Greg Myers of Ashtabula Growth Partnership, the newly retired Penny Trena from the Columbiana County Port Authority, Attorney Blair, and Guy Coviello. Thank you for being with us today. And some staff who have made Lake to River monumentally successful in its first year. Our fearless leader, interim CEO, Alexis Sweeney-Blacan. Our wisdom and knowledge, Michelle Phillips, who keeps us all as intelligent as we possibly can be. And the gentleman who leads talent efforts and is incredibly engaging and meaningful, Mr. Matt Falter. Thank you. It is so exciting to be here with all of you, leaders who care about where the region is headed. Over the past year, we've been building something important together. The launch of Lake to River as the 7th and final Jobs Ohio network partner was a big moment, not just for Ohio, but for our corner of the state. Ashtabula, Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbiana counties. For the first time, we've got a structure in place that's completely focused on driving growth from Lake Erie to the Ohio River. And in just 1 year, we have made some real progress. We've built a strong pipeline, 15 expansion projects, 6 attraction opportunities representing more than $950 million in capital investment, and nearly 1,000 jobs new to the region. We've secured the largest ever Jobs Ohio Vibrant Communities Planning Grant to jumpstart a comprehensive plan for downtown Youngstown. We've closed the final $1 million needed to fund the new 18,000 square foot aviation education center at the Youngstown-Warren Regional Airport, a huge win for workforce development in aviation. Congratulations to the Western Reserve Port Authority and to Youngstown State University for making that happen. We've supported a $17 million investment to the Western Reserve Port Authority for major site development at the former RG Steel site in Trumbull County. More to come. We've championed efforts like the Youngstown Innovation Hub for Aerospace and Defense, backed by a $26 million state investment that is a monumental win for innovation, for national security, for additive manufacturing, and more importantly, for our area. Hats off to YBI and America Makes for leading the charge. We've been beating the drum on strategic site development, working with communities to identify the right use for sites and to get them shovel-ready. I find these wins to be impressive, but more importantly, they show what's possible when this region is aligned, focused, and moving in the same direction. Okay, but here's the truth. If we want to keep this momentum going, it's going to take all of us. So here's how you can help. Invest. Whether it's time, capital, or expertise, invest. And if you're looking for a high-impact way to do it, consider investing in your economic development system, considering investing in Lake to River. Engage with us, partner with us, share your insight, help us connect the dots across sectors. And lastly, most importantly, be ambassadors. Promote the assets and the opportunities that make Eastern Ohio and the Lake to River region an attractive place for business and talent. We have the tools, we have the talent, and right now we have the timing. Now it's about pushing forward together and building the kind of future our communities deserve. And as we continue to build momentum, it's important and invaluable to hear from experts who understand both national economic trends and our local landscape. And with that in mind, I'm excited to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Gary Wagner. Gary grew up on Northwest Boulevard in Warren on the west side, and he's a proud graduate of Warren G. Harding. Furthered his education at Youngstown State University in economics. I'm so used to saying that. And continuing with master's and doctorate at West Virginia University. Professionally, Gary has made significant contributions to the field. He served as vice president and senior regional officer for the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland up until 2018, and he's currently an endowed chair of economics at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. He's the editor-in-chief of the Public Finance Review. He has been sought after numerous times by the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and CNN for his opinions. And Gary will present his economic outlook, and together we'll explore its local implications. Please welcome Valley champion, Dr. Gary Wagner.
If we can get this, okay, good, it's on. So good morning. I'm going to break from the script and walk around a little bit as I give you some thoughts on regional economic development. But first of all, I want to say it's an absolute honor to be here today. It's an honor to be recognized along with the other accomplished individuals. I think one of the things that's unique for the Valley, I've lived in 7 different states since I moved away from Ohio in 1996, and it's amazing the number of people that I run into that are from the Valley, have connections to the Valley, and have made significant impacts in the world. I think it's something that we all should be very proud of. I want to thank Guy and the Chamber also for giving me the opportunity to share some thoughts with you today. The presentation is pretty dense. I've got 8 slides I want to go through pretty quickly, but talk about economic development. The Chamber can make these slides available to you. I can also make them available to you. My email address is there. You can Google my name in Louisiana. I'll pop right up. I'll also be around after the presentation if there are any questions. And by all means, feel free to tell me where I'm wrong in the presentation. I've been married for 25 years, so I'm pretty accustomed to hearing about all the ways that I'm wrong. So I just want to talk really quickly about economic development from a broad perspective. So, in my mind, economic development is really fundamentally a question about why some regions grow and other regions do not grow, or alternatively, why some regions grow faster than other regions. And we think about quality of life and our standard of living. Economic development is key to that endeavor. So globalization and kind of the knowledge-driven economy have really been changing the drivers of regional economic growth. So if we think back to 100 years ago versus today, the main factors impacting regional standard of living are shifting, and they're shifting very rapidly. If we think about why regions grow at a fundamental level, regions grow when we find ways of using our unique talents to create value that is of interest to others. And so key to that is really that bottom point about entrepreneurs and innovators and creators. So regions that have a culture of innovation are regions that grow faster, meaning you see generational change, and they're regions that are also more resilient to economic disruptions. So 100 years ago, in the mid-20th century, the regions that performed well economically were regions that were really dominated by large, vertically integrated firms, right? The easiest way for you to think about that is something we're all familiar with. Think about General Motors. So that represents a large, vertically integrated firm. If we look over the last 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, the regions that have become more successful, meaning they've moved up the relative rankings of economic development, are areas that have smart or well-trained workforces, right? They're areas that have small firms that are dynamic. They can pivot quickly. They're well connected to the outside world. And increasingly are areas that have amenities that people value. So quality of life. I mentioned affordable housing there. We hear a lot about housing these days. Affordable housing is one thing that is a key aspect for the Valley. We still have very affordable housing. And it's also something that is largely under local control. So elected officials and local governments have a lot of control over the affordability of housing. And one of the things we're seeing with younger workers that you're probably also seeing is that younger workers are willing to move to locations where they want to live and then find a job, which seems very, very foreign to me. I would never move someplace without having a job first. But younger workers are now changing that paradigm of how they think about where they want to live. And so thinking about economic development, I wanted to show you, hopefully you can see this map. There are 382 metropolitan statistical areas in the country. So MSAs are just collections of counties. They're basically mini economies. So the Youngstown-Warren MSA includes Trumbull County, Mahoning County, and Mercer County in Pennsylvania. But this is showing you kind of the high-income places in the U.S. versus the low-income places in the U.S. And this is 2023, the most recent data we have. I want to highlight a couple things. There's a lot of regional variation. So look at Florida. Florida has metro areas that are among the highest income earning in the country, and they have metro areas that are among the lowest income earning in the country. I'm going to zero in on Ohio in just a second, so I know it's a little tough to see. But all those areas in orange are the high income areas, right? Those are the desirable economic outcomes, and there's no distinct geographical pattern. High income areas are located everywhere around the U.S. Unfortunately, so are low income areas. They're located all around the U.S. as well. If we look a little closer at Ohio, this is showing you what Ohio's metro areas looked like in 1970 on that same relative scale compared to where we are today. And a couple things jump out, right? The Cleveland and Dayton MSAs were in the top 20% in 1970. Dayton's in the middle of the pack today, slid down 2 steps on the ladder. If we look at the Valley, we were in the middle of the pack in 1970. We're now the second lowest 20%, so we fell 1 ring down on the ladder. That actually occurred during the 1980s. You can see the 2 areas that really had dramatic changes were Mansfield MSA and Springfield MSA, which were, in the second 40%, top 40% in 1970. Now they're in the bottom 20%. So there's a lot of changes over time in terms of the relative ranking of different regions and where they stand on the economic ladder. In our area, some of this, of course, was due to changes in manufacturing. This is showing you manufacturing employment for the U.S. economy as a whole, so the share of jobs that are in manufacturing. This chart goes all the way back to 1939, it's as far back as we have the data that are consistently measured. But notice you can see, starting in about the 1950s, we started to see a decline in manufacturing employment, and that decline has continued. So going back to 1955, about 32% of all jobs in the U.S. economy were manufacturing. That would be 1 in 3. Now it's down to about 8.5. We hear a lot of change also about NAFTA and trade these days. So one of the things I did is looked at the period from 1955 to 1991. That was pre-NAFTA, and said, where would we be today had NAFTA not occurred? That's this dashed line. And the interesting thing is, for the first 20-year period post-NAFTA, manufacturing employment in the U.S. followed the exact trend it had been on for the previous 4 decades, which basically means NAFTA did not do much to nudge these broader manufacturing trends in the U.S. economy. But you do see a sharp turn there in 2010, where it's leveled off. This is automation. This is American innovation. You know, the U.S. economy is the most productive and innovative economy in the world. U.S. workers are the most productive in the world. And we've seen a stabling of manufacturing employment in the U.S. because of this technological innovation. But I will point out that the manufacturing jobs that we are seeing today are very different from the manufacturing jobs that we saw 25 or 50 years ago. You know, in the Valley, we also are a little bit more concentrated in manufacturing than the nation. So the nation, we have about 8.6% of our jobs in manufacturing. In the Youngstown-Warren MSA, it's about 11.5%. So again, we followed that exact same trend where manufacturing employment has declined. But one thing I want to point out that's not in the chart, if you were looking at manufacturing output, what we actually produce, the picture is the exact opposite. So the U.S. economy continues to produce more manufacturing goods than we ever have. It's been trending up consistently over time. What's happening is, because we are so productive, we are doing it with fewer and fewer workers. So what we used to take 10, 12 workers to do a particular task now takes even fewer. So there's a little bit of a myth that we don't manufacture anything in the U.S. We manufacture an awful lot of goods in the U.S. In fact, we're the second largest exporter of services in the world. Most people probably don't know that. But we're doing it with fewer and fewer people. But jumping back here to the decline in manufacturing, I want to show you one other thing, and this is looking at per person income across all 50 states. I know there's a lot of squiggly lines there. I've just highlighted Ohio. So we've continued to see inflation-adjusted income growth that's been substantial in the U.S. So even as the economy has evolved away from manufacturing and towards services, we're seeing significant increases in income. But the one thing I want to point out here is, if you look all the way back to 1929, there was very little variation between states in terms of the richest state and the poorest state. So they were all tightly clustered together. Starting in about the mid-1970s, that started to break apart. Moving to 2023, there's now significant variation between the richest state and the lowest state. That's basically due to the returns to education and workforce training. But here's a good nugget of information about how wealthy the U.S. is compared to the rest of the world. So if we take the state that's ranked lowest in per capita or per person income in the U.S., that's Mississippi, at about $51,000. Mississippi is basically equal in per capita income to Germany, which is the main economic driver of Europe and one of the wealthiest places in Europe. The wealthiest state in the U.S. on a per capita basis is Connecticut at over $92,000. So by any measurable standard adjusting for cost of living differences, U.S. workers, because of our productivity, are among the richest in the world. So that's something that we should celebrate. in thinking about kind of winning and losing regions, so this is showing you the metro areas, the top 25 metro areas that have gained the most over the last 50 years. Those are in dark blue. The metro areas that have fallen the most over the last 50 years, those are in gold. So we do have a couple of those in Ohio. But one thing that you can probably see is there's not a real strong, again, geographic pattern about these areas that have made generational changes and areas that have made generational changes in the opposite direction. So what is it that really drives these areas that are experiencing generational changes? Well, this chart will kind of level that out. So every one of these dots represents one metropolitan area in the U.S. and how their relative income position has changed over the last 50 years. The single most important factor predicting why a region leveled up over those generations is education. It's a very strong relationship between the percentage of residents who have a college degree and their ability to be innovative and level up. And I'm not pointing this out simply because I happen to be a college professor and I think education is important. I do think it's important. It's certainly transformed my life. But the main point I wanted to get across is that education correlates more broadly with workforce training. The regions that level up so that the next 25 years for the Valley look very different than the last 25 years are going to be areas where we see significant investments in workforce. So to summarize kind of really quickly on the three broad takeaways that I would want to leave you with today, to generationally transform the Valley so 25 years from now we look very different, or maybe Wally gives us all a goal, so I'm 51, so my goal is to come back in 50 years and give you an update and tell you if I was right. We'll see if I can make it to 101. But the three things that I wanted to point out is people, population, attracting and retaining population. People are the best economic resource that we have. So attracting and retaining people are really important. Investing in those people and investing in basic education and workforce. The people who are most likely to live in the Valley 20 years from now are the people who live here today. Making those investments in those people that are going to pay off dividends in the future. And the last thing I would hit on are quality of life issues. So again, housing is important, but quality of life is going to matter a lot more in the future than it did in the past, because now there's a disconnect between where people live and where people can work. And so with that, I'm going to turn the floor back over to Mike.
Gary, thank you. Thank you for that excellent overview. We believe it to be a balance of economic development, workforce development, and community development, right? A sustained growth of jobs, people, quality of life that help lift a community in a manner that it can continue and keep up with. And you talked a lot about people and human capital, and I think we're leaning into that here locally, supporting entrepreneurs, expanding workforce development programs, and creating space for innovation. In regions that are getting this right, what's working?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think the regions that are doing well are regions that are having a broad-based approach where they're looking at local wins or early wins. How can you attract businesses, retain some of the talent, but also thinking longer term. So again, I think population is important because attracting talented people to an area is important. And I think one area that really stands out to me is Austin, Texas. So they've got some tremendous partnerships with local business community in the University of Texas at Austin in terms of their incubator, and they've been very successful in marrying people who want to invest, entrepreneurs who have ideas, and talent at the university to create hundreds of new businesses over the last 20 years. So to the extent that you can bring all that talent together and move it in the same direction, I think is fantastic.
Let's talk about education for a second. We have a lot of educational assets here that have tremendous potential, and we recognize that aligning education with workforce and economic development is crucial. In your view, what are high-performing regions doing differently to make sure that education is directly supporting the long-term economic development goals?
Yeah, so I think the regions that are doing really well, if you were to look at the map that I showed you with the all 382 MSAs, with the exception of a couple different areas, Boise, Idaho being one, and Rochester, Minnesota. The areas that are doing really, really well over, say, the last 25 or 30 years are areas that have large research universities there. And it's, again, leveraging the innovation that you have and the creativity that you have. So in terms of the Valley, I haven't been around for a while. I would like to see Youngstown State be more involved as a driver of economic development, partnering with Lake to River, partnering with the local chamber. I think also your input to the university is very valuable, where universities need to be better stewards of listening to what the local business community is looking for. I mean, business advisory groups are very important for universities, where you can share what you know, what you're seeing with people who are then training the next generation. So I would encourage you to get involved to help move the region forward as well.
All right, last one. So there is a growing national focus on place-based economic development, and you show the decline in manufacturing nationally. We recognize this region as hammer swingers and cart pushers. We have a strong sense of pride in our ability to manufacture and produce. How do we harness that and use it as a competitive advantage, both in attracting people and investment, recognizing the national decline in manufacturing jobs?
Yeah, I think that's also a great question. One of the things that really stands out to me about the Valley and the residents here is just the general work ethic. Every place that I've ever lived, people claim that they have a really strong work ethic. But I think one of the things that's true is folks from the Valley absolutely have that. I can tell you, when I ended up starting my graduate program, we had entry exams. I had the second lowest entry exam of everybody who took the exam, and I was the first person to finish. And the only reason I did it is because the only option I knew was how to work. And so I think marketing the region in terms of the skilled workforce that we have, the strong work ethic that we have, I think can position us well. Also, the region is uniquely positioned around a large number of large metro areas that have a lot of amenities. I mean, we're close to Pittsburgh, we're close to Cleveland, we also have a lot of proximity to Columbus region. So I think focusing on those basic fundamentals of attracting and retaining talent, workforce investment and development, I think the region is very well positioned to do well in the future.
Gary, thank you. Congratulations again, Dan, Shelley, Mr. King, and a big congratulations, Kim, Guy Coviello, the Regional Chamber staff, for bringing us all together to have such an important conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Gary Wagner.
Thank you, Gary and Mike, for that very insightful Q&A session, and thank you, Dr. Wagner, for that data-driven, very interesting presentation. We really appreciate both of your time. Definitely such thoughtful insights and perspectives on how the Valley can support and expand its economy and on what's happening across the nation. Everyone here today knows there is work ahead of us to do to achieve the goal, but through the relationships we've created, we're prepared to do it together. Before I get to the last thing here, I just wanted to say thank you to the Regional Chamber for having me to MC this event, and thank you again for all of you being here. It was a lovely morning and an inspirational one, and I just wanted to say that before we move on to the last thing here, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. But before we go, I am very pleased to call on the Regional Chamber's fearless leader for a brief update and closing remarks. President and CEO, Guy Coviello.
So a couple quick remarks before we head to work. Jim Standahar, Mark Wenick, I'm the real Guy Coviello. Wally, it's amazing you drive yourself to work. I found that amazing. But even more amazing, I heard today when a journalist came to your house this week for a story, you were out power washing the driveway. Just remarkable. Thank you, farmers. I look forward to your expansion of your modernized headquarters and the grand opening coming up very soon. Thank you, Lake to River. Our partnership is, as the theme of today in our annual report is, strengthening the Valley's future through opportunity. And we received a big one, as we heard earlier, the Youngstown Innovation Hub for Aerospace and Defense. Lake to River will play a critical role in that. Look at it this way. There are scientists around the world, Research Triangle, Notre Dame, Southern Cal, they're inventing things. They are not going to build factories. They're probably inventing those things where it's not conducive to build factories. That's what Lake to River is here for. There are people who want to do that. Lake to River will incentivize them doing that here. The opportunity that gives us is significant. Congratulations to, by the way, America Makes and Youngstown Business Incubator for steadfastly supporting that Youngstown Innovation Hub for Aerospace and Defense. The defense industry is recession-proof. The military-industrial complex is vast, and there's something I learned from Barb Ewing, the executive director at Youngstown Business Incubator. This is not just for big defense contractors and manufacturers of assault vehicles. It's also for small companies, making brooms, making chairs, making T-shirts. Like Barb explained to me, if the Department of Defense is buying it, we want Mahoning Valley companies selling it. So congratulations again, Barb, and John Wozinski, Executive Director of America Makes. Some really neat stats I want to share. Out of 425 metro areas in the U.S. recognized by Area Development Magazine, the Mahoning Valley ranked number 61 for economic strength. After losing tens of thousands of people from our labor force over many decades, from February of last year to February of this year, we gained 600. After more than a decade of seeing the hourly wage gap between the Mahoning Valley and the rest of the country grow to more than $6, over the last 4 years, that wage gap between us and the rest of the country has shrunk. So, Lake to River, Regional Chamber, all of our partners, we're not just creating jobs, we're creating jobs with good wages. I want to thank Trumbull County Commissioners, Denny Malloy, Rick Hernandez, Tony Bernard, and Bezetta Township trustees. I think you're all in attendance today. Amazon has a project in Bezetta creating 400 jobs. Amazon officials told us we have one of the most business-friendly communities that they have ever worked with. Thank you, Trumbull County Commissioners and Bezetta Township trustees, for giving us that reputation. Thank you to the Western Reserve Port Authority, along with Lake to River, along with the Eastgate Regional Council of Governments. It was referenced earlier. You secured a critical state infrastructure grant, bolstering an opportunity to develop or redevelop 1,000 of industrial acres of property. And I predict, and I'm not really going out on much of a limb here, this will result in the Valley's largest economic development project since Altium Cells in 2020. At last year's annual meeting, I made a prediction and wasn't really going out on a limb, but I predicted that Altium Cells would soon become Trumbull County's largest employer, which they did last fall, not because somebody else closed or shrunk, but because Altium grew. Good sign of where our economy is going. And 2024 was truly a year of lots of successes, and I want to thank my chamber team for much of that. We had a very interesting year when we spun off Lake to River, and you guys helped us redirect where we're going, and we heard many times today that the direction we're going is the right one. We're focused on expanding talent, expanding population, expanding housing. We heard from Dr. Wagner, those are 3 critical factors if we're going to grow. Thank you to our sponsors today. And our sponsors of the VIP reception last night. I would like everyone, please look at the names of the companies listed on the back of the agenda. Please pay close attention to the banners and the companies on those banners as you leave here today. Support from these companies enables us to seize opportunities at hand, to have a population expansion strategy in partnership with Eastgate, to have a talent expansion strategy in partnership with Goodwill Industries, to have a housing expansion strategy in partnership with lots of local public, private, and philanthropic organizations, a DEI program to help minority, veteran, women, and disabled-owned companies, a talent retention and recruitment program that we are about to launch with the Mahoning Valley Young Professionals, and a lot more. The result of all these partnerships, all this collaboration, is undeniable. As the annual report says, and please take the annual report with you, we are strengthening the Valley's future through opportunity. And we're not going to look back. Thank you.